Good morning, everyone. Well, first of all, I'm not going to sing. Director General, that was a great song, by the way. Anyway, as you have learned from Malaysia, one of our Southeast Asian countries that's been doing really well in terms of smart city promotion. Now, let me have the opportunity to take the floor and talk about what we do in Thailand, which is something that's very different from Malaysia in the sense that we are working from the ground up. We try our best to look at innovation from the perspective of those who are involved in the process themselves. So this picture shows a lot about what we do in Thailand. So we are not keen on technology per se because we believe that technology has to start with the people because we try many times and we fail many times as well in trying to implement something new. But at the end, when the technology is so new and people are not adapted to it, are not being able to get familiar with it, then at the end, the result was not that happy. So today, I want to share with you the story of a small city in southern part of Thailand, actually not so far from Malaysia, called Nakhon Si Thammarat. The city itself has been known for its cultural artifacts, known for its religious pilgrimage, known for all kinds of things that have to do with tradition and history. So if you go there, you see lots of temples and shrines and churches. But for the past 2 years, this city has gained another reputation. It has become the model smart city of Thailand, and it has won actually the award at the World Smart City Expo last year in Korea. So my story here starts with the basic questions. How did a city that was known for tradition and culture, something very old, something very historical, has become a city that is known for smart city promotion and development? So let me tell you the story. It started with the efforts to prevent something that happened every year, which is flooding. As you know, southern Thailand rains 8 months a year, and everywhere it rains 8 months a year, it's kind of unavoidable to face the problem of flooding. And the city, when it floods, a lot of things happen. People get fed up by it. Investment don't want to be there anymore. And of course, even the talents in the city themselves do not want to live there anymore. So you have all these multiple fold problems that comes with the flooding. In addition to the fact that the city itself would have to spend lots of money in terms of putting the infrastructure back in place and maybe investing even more money in terms of building more infrastructure for the cities. So how do we solve this? Well, one basic idea that we had was to pay money to the infrastructural companies to build better infrastructure like dams, like underground waterways, or even expensive infrastructure that would help the city prevent itself from flooding, flood mitigation infrastructure, and so on. But these infrastructure, when they are physical, they are expensive. And not all the time that we have the money to do it. So we have to think differently. And that's when the ground innovation, the idea is that we look at the problems at the root cause, and perhaps we might be able to find a solution. So let me take you through the solutions that we came up with, which is very inexpensive and cost a fraction of what we have to spend if we were to build infrastructure that are physical. So what we did was pretty simple. We tried to find out what really was the root cause of flooding. And one of the things we found was that the city was not flooded about 20 years ago. Right? It just started flooding about 10 years ago. And the reason for which was because all the underground waterways and all the above ground waterways usually get clogged by people throwing stuff into the waterways. You see a lot of trees in the waterways because when residents cut down their trees, they didn't know where to throw them away. So they ended up throwing the trees into the waterways. When they have big pieces of furniture, they don't know what to do with it, they also throw them into the waterways because it's so easy. And we realized is that this is a problem because when all the waterways in the cities are clogged, then you have a problem that the water doesn't flow the way it should, and therefore it flood the city in the internal areas. So how do we solve this? Well, in the past, we asked our citizens, our beloved citizens, to come to the city hall and fill in this very form. And you might realize by just looking at the forms that it's not easy to fill, right? You have to travel to the city hall, you have to fill in the form, you have to process the form, and usually the forms are piled up on the desk of someone who might not even look at the problems until the problems itself become a problem, in this case, flooding. And how do we move from the process whereby it's so slow, it's so untransparent, and it's so uninclusive to the system that is more agile and robust? So the idea that we had was to turn this paper-based culture into a digital culture, whereby we look at the problems from a different perspective. How do we get people to become our heroes? Well, one thing we could do was to turn this paper-based system into a digital system. whereby if you happen to see problems, all you have to do was to pick up your phone, take a picture, and then send it to us. And we create a small little application that's embedded within an application that's already being used in Thailand called Line Messenger. And this is a very small app that any phones that come from any ages could actually use it pretty easily. So what happened was that people see the problem, they take a picture, and as we know, all these digital pictures have all the data containing within it, like the metadata in terms of geography, the locations of the spots that was taken, the time stamp, and of course the metadata also provided us with the identity of the person taking the photo. So with this, we were able to aggregate data from a digital perspective, whereby we were able to look at problems from the perspective of how we derive information rather than how we get people to fill in the forms that are hard to read and hard to process. And that's when the magic happened, because after just a few months of launching the app, we got so many questions and so many problems sent to us. So if you look at this, well, it looks like there's a lot of problems, right? Because people were sending problems in from entire country, entire city, and you realize is that, well, this might not be very useful, but at least you know where the problems are accurately, because when the metadata get extracted, you know for sure the locations of all the problems. Well, in the past, if you have 5 trucks that would go around and fix problems, these 5 trucks would be sent randomly to different parts of the cities. And some trucks would go here and they might find a few problems. Some trucks might go here and they might find tons of problems, right? So it's unsymmetrical, it's unbalanced. The problems that each truck has to face. We don't want that anymore because we have limited resources. So we turn this map of problems that get sent to us into a heat map, whereby we look at problems from the perspective of verifications. So as you can see here, the purple color are the problems that get sent to us more frequently. So we color it purple. The one that are not verified so oftenly, we color it orange. And the one that we got a few problems, we color it yellow. So now you can actually see where the problems are in terms of frequency. And if you were to solve problems, it's very easy for you to look at places whereby problems are most verified. Again, all these start with the crowdsourcing of information from our citizens who are willing to help us in terms of getting information to us and allow us to see problems from a different perspective. Now, here's where the magic happens. We send this map to our truck drivers, the truck drivers who have to go around the city and try to solve problems. When they see this, they know it right away, that the purple are the ones that get verified a lot in terms of problem, and the blue lines are the waterways. So trucks know for sure that they shouldn't be going around here or here or here. They should be going around the area whereby the purple intersect with the waterways, right? Because that's very easy to look at when you visualize the data this way. So within the next few hours, we were able to help the truck drivers who going around fixing problems in terms of waterway clock, identify where are the most pressing problems and most critical in terms of the problems that happened with the flooding mitigation. So it's very easy for us to look at this. It's very easy for the truck drivers to look at this. It's very easy for staff to manage the urban problems. It's easy for everybody because we just turn simplistically the information we used to have in a paper form into a digital form. And therefore, we crowdsource the information in order to allow us to be able to see and visualize the data differently. Now, we are quite happy to report that the city doesn't flood anymore. And it happens not overnight though, but it happened over months. But we save hundreds of millions of Thai baht. We also save lots of energy, lots of efforts in building infrastructure that are physical, and therefore we were able to help people wanting to move back to the city, helping investment wanting to come back to the city, and helping to make city a better place for people to live in. So this is just a story. But at the end, it leads to something more important, which is the fact that when we realize that this system of crowdsourcing information from people are actually working for this, we expand it across the board. We expand it to the area of smart energy, smart living, smart economy, smart mobilities, smart environment. Of course, we also expanded to the area of smart people and smart governance as well. So within the next few months, we were able to solve this number of problems, right? 33,000 problems. It's something that would take 10 years in the past. Now we do it in 1 month. And of course, we got about 80,000 people, which is about 80% of the entire population of the city on board using the app on a daily basis. Again, all of this doesn't cost much at all. It's just the magic of how we think about digital tools in the way that help us solve problems at the root cause and therefore helping the city become much more livable than before. Now, The problem here, the question you might have is that, what about the staff in the city, right? Because if they have to receive so many problems, in the past they might be getting about 5 or 6 problems a day from the papers that people come in and fill in the forms. Now they got 1,000 problems a day. Are they fed up with the problems they have to solve? Well, we also have a tool for that. We call it behavioral economics. So what happened was that every time a staff in the city solve a problem on behalf of the citizens, the people for whom the problems get solved will be able to get the star, will be able to give the stars to that staff. So imagine that you are the one who driving trucks and trying to unclog the waterways. When the waterways unclog, you will get the stars from the citizens. And if you get more stars, at the end of the year, you get promoted. If you get even more stars, by the end of the year, you become the head of your department. So that's incentivization mechanism, that ways of moving the needle by understanding what really matters to people who are working for the cities, actually helping the city become better as a result. So I'm really happy also to report that now problems that used to take months to solve, we can solve them within 42.34 hours. Right? So you look at the details, the flood responses take about 17 hours, the animal control take about 36 hours, garbage collection takes about 23 hours. All these are numbers that were about 400 or 500% lower than before we used the system that I just talked to you about. Again, all this didn't cost much at all. It's just a matter of understanding the magic of digital tools and use it appropriately because the technology is there, it's affordable, it's usable, it's effective, and of course it's very transparent for everybody to use and it incentivizes people across the board to want to join us and help us in the process. Again, I have been working as an expert in smart city for Thailand for about 6 years-ish. And at the beginning, I thought that if you have cash and if you have intention, you can always create a smart cities. I thought that was the reason, I thought that was a factors. But turns out, you look at these and you realize is that many cities around the world, even if they have cash, even if they have good intention, they still fail. And they fail because they lack one thing, and that which is the understanding of the citizens. So I use this picture all the time because it tells us very interesting pictures about the different perspectives between the parents and the kids. So in this case, the parents are the cities, right? The parents might think that the cities are very interested in wanting to help the citizens become better by giving the toys to the babies, and the babies are the citizens. But many times in the cases I talk to you about, the parents don't really know what they are doing, right? The parents are trying to get at something that are very meaningful for them, but not for the kids. So at the end, the kids are not getting the benefits that they are hoping to arrive. These pictures, I got it from my colleague in Aspern City in Vienna, Austria, and it shows that a smart city is not a place where you have to see drones and robots walking the streets or flying the sky. A smart city is where you want to see happy people. And these two people are happy because the traffic lights that are IoT oriented are enabling people to move from destinations to their origins and vice versa very easily. And therefore they have more time because of the congestion that they could avoid. And at the end, they have more time to spend in the green field. They have more time to play with each other. And they have more clean air as a result of the system that work in the background to help the people becoming better at what they do, having more time to spend, having more economic transactionability, and of course having more sustainability as a result. So we try to do this because we look at many cases around the world, as I mentioned earlier. Having money and having good intention are not enough anymore. You need to know more than that. You need to understand what is it that really makes the city livable. What is it that is in your domain of investment that you can actually push in order to make sure that your cities can become better. And of course, it has to be the understandings of the needs of the citizens that could drive the growth in a very sustainable way. Now, I'm very happy to say that we are adopting this similar approach. We also adopt the so-called urban living lab approach, which is the idea that if you build something from the beginning in a large format and it fails, you're going to be losing a lot of money as a result. So why don't you build something small first, test it out with the real citizens, try it out and experiment it in different manners, and see whether or not they work. If they work, you scale it up. If it doesn't work, you scale it back. If it doesn't work at all, you scrape it. And it's not expensive because you are doing it in a smaller scale before you move to the bigger one. When you think big and act big, you fail big too when that doesn't work for you. But if you think big and act small and prototype along the way, and when it works like magic.
So in Thailand, we have three principles in the way we develop smart cities. The first one is about focusing on the people. So smart city is not tech-centric. Smart city is not investment-centric. Smart city is not robot-centric. It's citizen-centric, which means that we have to understand what the demands are. We have to understand what are the resources for the cities that could be used to enhance the capacity of the people and the city itself to be better than it was before in terms of economic, in terms of environment, and in terms of equality for all. So I like these pictures a lot because it shows that at the end of the day, you don't need technologies to be in the city. You want them to be in the corner, right? AI, IoT, cloud, edge computing, you name it, even blockchain. They work in the corner so that people in the large picture can be happier as a result. And that's what you want to do with the smart city protocol. That's what you want to do with technology. Not the other way around, not trying to put technology in the city, and at the end people are fed up with it because it's too complex and too sophisticated. So in Thailand, we are doing it this way. We start with working with the cities, and I'm really happy that we have so many mayors today with us from Thailand that are working with us for the past few years. We get all the cities to try to understand what is it that the city needs, right? The cities have to conduct a stakeholder mappings, trying to find challenges, trying to identify resources, trying to think about the visions that they have, and therefore what they want to push in terms of their ability to move with their understanding of resources and visions, and of course the understandings of what might work and might not work for the citizens. And after that, once the city is incubated, primarily, then DEPA, my agencies, will be the one who help to become an incubator at large to make the cities having a better proposals, much more comprehensive proposal, and of course, much more well-rounded proposals. And at the end, we pass that proposal to the hand of the central government, who will decide what kind of incentives and privileges and what kind of resources that all the ministries in Thailand will be given to the cities that work hard in understanding the people in order to make the cities becoming smarter than before. So we like these pictures a lot because it shows that we don't want to be that parents I showed you earlier, right? That bought that pieces of toys and the baby are not getting advantage of it. We're trying to be the parents who understand the baby from within, and therefore we were able to drive the process from within to without, and therefore make it sustainable in the long run. And because of that, we also work on keeping index of how cities are moving forward so that we know which cities are stay behind, which cities are progressing really fast, which cities should be nominated for awards, and which cities should be helped in terms of making them better in things that are missing in the process. Second principle has to do with the collaborations, because we believe that when we work on smart cities, you shouldn't do it alone, right? Smart city is not about public funded urban environment. It's not about privately funded urban processes. It's about how you combine the trust of the government and the market mechanism from the private side. When you bring them together, you get the best of both worlds. And of course, I added one more P there. You might have heard of public-private partnership. I added one more P, which is P for the people, because we believe that P for the people is the demand side that is very needed in making cities transformative. So we start with the people, as I mentioned in the first principle, and then we use the tool of public-private partnership to supply the solutions, to supply the domains of technologies to meet the demand, which is the people, and therefore we can move forward together. So one of the projects that we were working on in Thailand right now is called the New City in the Eastern Economic Corridor. Again, the government can just fund the project, can just do it all, right? But at the end, you might end up with a ghost town because it's not what the market wants, it's not what the people want. So what the government does at the beginning was to acquire lands and then build basic infrastructure and then invite investments either in terms of public-private partnership, joint venture, turnkey, or even FDI in order to help make the cities matching the demand from the citizen-centric perspective. So the government provided the land, the government provided basic infrastructure, the private sector who understand the market come in and fill in the blank, fill in the spaces, because when we do this, we are getting what the market wants, we're getting what the government wants, and we're getting what is good for the people. At the end, the whole ideas of environment first, economic to follow, and of course equalities to fill in the gap has been something that we've been doing for quite a long time, and it works very well. The last but not least principle is about data drivenness, because we believe wholeheartedly that if you really wanted to create smart cities, we need to use data. And data is very important, especially today when it's so easy and affordable to get data. Let me give you an example. I almost missed my flight when I was coming here to Hangzhou because I didn't use my Google Map, right? I thought that the time of my flight was in the evening. I could just take a taxi. I use my biases towards the ideas that I know it all, that the traffic shouldn't be this bad at this time. But turns out I almost missed my flight because the traffic was really bad actually because there was an accident. So had I used my Google Map or any maps at all actually, which is free by the way, I would have known that I shouldn't be taking taxi because there was a traffic congestion ahead of me, right? So the idea is pretty much the same. If the cities are no longer using their biases, are no longer use their sense of familiarity with the problems. They're not using their belief anymore, but look at the data first and try to make better decisions based on the data. We might end up with better cities. We might end up with smarter cities. We might end up with transformative exponentially for urban development that we wanted to push forward. So in the cases I would like to show you was about the smart bus in Phuket. If you heard of Phuket, is one of the crown jewels of the Andaman Islands. It's the most beautiful places in Southeast Asia in terms of beaches. Well, Malaysia have a lot of places as well. But what happened was that in the past, you can fly into Phuket for $20. But in order to get from Phuket airport to the city, cost you like $50, right? Because there was no services provided for the citizens because the bus company didn't see the margin in terms of their profits, in terms of their revenue. So people ended up having to take a taxi or drive their own cars. So when people drive their car, there will be problem with congestion because more cars mean more congestion, and more cars mean more probability for accidents, and more cars means more carbon emission, especially coming from the internal combustion engines. So what we did was to come up with the idea that, hey, if there is a profitable bus services, because the bus themselves, they're not running according to intervals. They're running according to the demands, which means that if the bus understands when the planes are coming to Phuket, they can actually use the semi-on-demand protocols to send more buses to pick people up. And then during a time when there's not a lot of planes coming in, the bus could just be left quite a few to make sure that those who are flying in can actually have a way to get to the cities. So when we use this semi-on-demand protocols to gauge the demand, to understand the needs for public transport to get people from the airport to the cities, the buses are not running empty anymore. They're running with packed people. They're running on time, and they're running with the system that people are actually feeling safe because we also use all kinds of technologies in the background, like AI cameras, in order to make sure that the bus drivers are not sleeping, the bus drivers are not distracted by their phones, and the people themselves are behaving okay on the buses. And we also use the privacy protocol in order to make sure that the data we collect are being flushed away after the process of the bus moving is over. So we try to turn this into mobility as a service system. We try to turn this into the AI power system to keep people safe. We're also trying to make this a business model that a lot of people want to replicate. People wanted to make it even larger as a result. So let me summarize this, right? You heard from me a lot about how the city of Nakhon Si Thammarat in Thailand has become a smart city because it used digital tools in a way that work with the people to solve problems that used to cost a lot in a fraction of the money that it would have spent. You heard from me about the 3 principles of Thailand smart cities, and now you're going to hear from me about the 3 key takeaways from this presentation of City Show. First of all, technology is great, but you don't want to use them just because they are new or because they are expensive. They want to use them because they are purposeful, right? So we don't want to be those parents who are looking at the baby from the top-down perspective and only see themselves as a giver and then don't even care whether or not the recipient of what they try to give could actually receive the beneficiaries of the things that they try to give. So we try to be purposeful here. We might not have to pick the best or the newest technology. We just have to pick the right one, which could be technology from 5 years ago, 10 years ago. As long as it works for the people, it's the right kind of technology. So that's the first takeaway that I want you to go away, you to walk away from this talk with. The second principle was about value over optimizations, right? So I maybe have skipped through a picture here. You don't want to focus on how many tools you have or how many systems you have. You want to focus on whether or not you can deliver the value to your citizens, right? I've been meeting with many mayors who told me that they have 85 systems. When I asked him, how many of them that you are actually using for the people? And the answer is like 2, right? Why do you need 85 then if you're only going to use 2? So it's not about quantity. It's about the value of what you are delivering to the citizens. If 2 is enough, just do 2, right? If 3 is good, it's better than 2, then do 3. You don't have to go with the numbers because numbers are illusional when it doesn't have the value for the citizens. And last but not least, as I mentioned earlier, you want to think big. You want to solve problems, but you want to act small. Because if you think big and act big, and if you fail big as well. So you want to think big, and you want to do things in a smaller scale. You sandbox it, you do a pilot project within it, and you test it out whether your idea is good enough. And in case it's not good enough or it's not working at all, that scale itself is actually small enough for you to not feeling that your investment money has gone astray. So at the end, when you invest in the smart city solutions and it doesn't work, not only does you spend money inappropriately, you also lose your opportunity to spend that fund and money somewhere else that matter more. So you want to think big, but act small, prototype along the way, pilot along the way, so that you get the result that you want at the end. So that's the idea of think big, act small. The key here is about consistency, because you want to be consistent with your efforts. You want to be consistent with your initiatives. You want to be consistent with how you make your cities better than before. So this is my last slide that I want to leave you with. The whole idea of smart cities must begin with the people. First of all, because people are the recipients of the great things that you want to do for them. They are the real beneficiaries. You want to focus on what they need, and you want to focus on what might help their life become more economically sustainable. Second, people first, because we believe in people. We believe that people are very good at partnerships. People are very good at collaborating. People are also very good at using their ability to work with each other in order to drive the processes. And that's why public-private partnership is also hinged upon the ideas of getting people on board, getting people to understand the same techniques and same ideas and same visions, which is very critical to how you transform anything, just about anything, and not just smart city. And at the end, we also believe that people love data, right? We all love gossips, right? Gossip is data as well. Gossip is data as well, right? All these things, right? Gossips, fake news are data as well. If you can turn the ideas of people loving the data because they are so interesting, so dramatic, turn the people into loving data because it helps the people themselves making better decisions, right? Turning the ideas of receiving data just for the sake of wanting to hear them, but because you want it to be accurately making decisions based on data you receive. When you turn that things around, you flip the script, you get more people to use data to drive the decisions. And at the end, you get more results that are positive and more results that are benefiting the people as a whole. So I leave you with this, and I hope that this gives you basic ideas of what we have been doing in Thailand. Again, we're not perfect. There's a lot of things that we try to do and we fail, and I'm really happy to share with you even more about how we fail, because I think failure is the mother of all successes. Failure itself is the mother of all innovations. Without failure, we wouldn't be able to do anything. And I wanted to share with you that we fail many times because we wanted to fail forward and move forward, and that is the only way. Thank you so much. ขอบคุณครับ Thank you.